ask me every day, Mayor, you gonna run again? You know, and I always say to them, man, stop running.
Being a preacher. I started preaching at 4 years of age. I was licensed at 9, ordained at 12. I had been preaching here several times as a boy preacher. The pastor of the Hilltop Baptist Church, Reverend Griffin Davis Jr., Sr., was the first pastor to invite me into the city at 13 years of age, maybe a little younger, and I kept coming back year after year after year. I think I came back in my late 20s, early 30s, and there was a church that didn't have a pastor. I preached there twice, and the rest was history. They called me and asked me would I be their pastor. So here I am in Florida, and I came to this city as a Baptist pastor, missionary Baptist pastor, named by Church's New Macedonia Baptist Church at 748 West 9th Street in Riviera Beach. And we are humbled to say a Baptist church with a Pentecostal faith. Well, I think that when you look at the scriptures, you understand that the disciples of Christ all had their own calling and their own personalities, and they minister in different ways. You know, Peter was aggressive, James was the son of thunder, others might have been laid back. So because a pastor or minister does not minister the same way or see his ministry in the same perspective as I see mine, does not mean that he's not ministering. Coming from California, I was more involved in that particular part of the country. Ministers were much more involved in the community. They were seen as advocates for the poor and for people that felt the injustices of the system. You know, we dealt with California, where the free speech movement developed, the UC Berkeley movement developed, the anti-war movement developed. So that was kind of the climate that I came out of. So coming and bringing that into Florida, I immediately just continued to do what I do, which was to you know, be an advocate for those that needed a voice. And as you say, one of the things that really caught my attention was the way that we were treating young people, children. There was something wrong with, in my mind, there was something wrong with prosecuting a child as an adult. A child does not have the brain of an adult. He is still a child. Paul said it best when he said, when I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. So in the court system, we always had a juvenile court and we had an adult court. And I thought we were getting away from that. And all of a sudden we were seeing children as little adults. They are not adults. They don't think like adults. They're not, it's just a totally... The trial in the case of Nate Brazil. When Nate was tried, you must understand that at that time, we were still, the United States of America was still not only prosecuting children as adults, but it was still the law that we could, the capital punishment. You know, children under 18 could be sent to prison and be executed, number one, and also without parole. Something was wrong with that. Now the Supreme Court has come back with a decision which says you can no longer do that, you know, period. You cannot, children cannot be executed anymore for crimes under 18, because they realize that the mind, the brain of a child functions differently from an adult. And my thing was, just as it functions differently, and we saw that we could not send our children to prison to life without parole, or also we could not, capital punishment could not be on the table, then we must understand that we must not prosecute children as adults either, because if you don't prosecute them as adults, then they'll never get into the adult sanctions, whether it's capital punishment or whether it's a life without parole. And I felt that here in Florida, as you know, at that time, Florida was leading the country in prosecuting children as adults and sending them to adult facilities. Something was wrong with it then, something is wrong with it now. And we must stand up and advocate for our children. If anyone deserves a chance, it's a child. And, you know, let's look at it. We all did dumb and crazy things as children. When we look back and say, did I do that? 14 or 15 years ago, yeah, you did. But you were a child. And thank God that Mama and Daddy didn't punish us as adults. They punished us as children. I can tell you, Nate is being very positive. He wants to be an attorney. He's studying law. He's keeping himself very busy. He has filed for a couple motions to come back in to the court and ask for relief and on certain legal points. But you know, he's doing the best. He's doing the best he can do. I mean, how good can you do with a 30-year sentence or whatever the sentence may have been? But the good news is we must continue to pray for Nate Brazil and not let him think that he's been thrown away. Now, there are people who understand that, Nate, yes, you know, you made a terrible mistake. Yes, you must pay for what you did. But should you pay as an adult? I don't think so. So we're just going to continue that the system changes. And in one day, but he's very remorseful. He's always been very remorseful about the crime. But he's making the best of his time, as I said, studying. He's a brilliant young man. And from what I understand, and having spoken to his father, many of the people there in prison look to him as the prison lawyer, you know, the prison attorney. So let's just pray for that young man. He's lost his mom while he's been incarcerated. As a matter of fact, I took his mom to Rome to meet with the Pope. And the Pope, Pope John Paul was an advocate also of not punishing children as adults. And I wanted the Pope to have an opportunity to meet Polly Brazil, who is just a wonderful, Polly Brazil was just a wonderful person. So Nate, having lost his mom and in the system that he's in, he's being prayerful and he's staying very positive. It'll be almost 3 years in just a few months. I did some research and I found out that the curfew would have a tremendous effect on saving the lives of children. I want to turn around and look at my grandson here. Now, I want it not only for my grandson, but for the children of the world. You know, our grandparents taught us, and I taught my little grandson here, that when the sun goes down, you need to be home. You need to be off the streets. You must be in a safe, secure environment.